My, how time flies. Let's take a look at this date in Cubs history. Hard to believe it, but just a few short years ago, four in fact, Kerry Wood came back for the first time after Tommy John surgery and blasted the Houston Astros 11-1 and blasted the operative word. He also hit a home run in his first game back from that right elbow surgery. Today's pitching matchup in St. Louis, a good one. Two young right-handers will toil. Carlos Zambrano will go for the Cubs. He's never beaten the St. Louis Cardinals in this ballpark. In fact, he's never beaten them anywhere. Matt Morris, 3-2 so far on the year. The big problem for Morris has been the home run ball. And with the weather warming up, Busch Stadium ought to be a launching pad this afternoon. Stay tuned, friends. It's Game 3 of this big four-game series, the Cubs and the Cardinals. It doesn't get any better than this. Steve Stone will join me for the call of the game next here on WGN Sports.
The leadoff man was brought to you by Nissan and your Nissan dealer, and by Culver's Frozen Custard and Butterburger Restaurants.
Let's say
the following is a presentation of WGN Sports.
Cub Nation has invaded St. Louis, and they've taken over Busch Memorial Stadium these last two nights here in St. Louis. Another capacity crowd on hand for Game 3 of this four-game whirlwind series. The first-place Cubs and the Cardinals have split the first two. Today it's Game 3, and all the fun's next here on WGN Sports. Hello again, everybody. Steve Stone, Chip Caray. Bright sunny skies in St. Louis. And Steve, why not? The Cubs fans have turned out in droves for this series, and they've had a lot of great pitching to talk about the first two games here in St. Louis.
And after 2 games of rain today, it's a bright sunny day, and what better day for the Cubs and the Cardinals to hook up in their first day game of the year. I'm pretty excited. I know Carlos Zambrano is certainly up today. He's got to face their best in Matt Morris. It looks on the surface like Morris would have every advantage, but I don't really think so. Carlos is throwing the ball better right now than Morris is.
Yeah, Morris has really given up the home run ball, as has this Cardinals staff, 7 of them in just 19 innings of work. And hey, Carlos can take some cues from Matt Clement. He too had never beaten St. Louis until last night, and Matt Clement's won 4 straight games.
The best pitch in this ballpark is the sinker. It's going to be a very lively park today, 372 to the power alleys. And anybody who gets the ball up is going to see the ball go out of the park. Both of these teams hit a lot of home runs. I think the Cubs will hit more than the Cardinals, especially with Matt Morris. Last year, averaging a home run every 9 innings. This year, a home run every 4 innings. And those 4 guys are the guys that will be happy cats against, is it Morris the Cat?
Indeed, he is. Morris the Cat, who will not have 9 lives today if the Cubs swing very hot bats in this third game of 4 in St. Louis. We're going to have some fun today. The Cubs are in first place. The Cardinals scratching their heads. They haven't been able to solve the Cubs pitching staff so far here in St. Louis, a trend we all hope continues today. Stay tuned. Starting lineup some more come your way on WGN Sports. It's the Cubs and the Redbirds coming up next.
Chicago Cubs baseball, brought to you by Bud Light, fresh, smooth, real. It's all here. Dodge, you can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. 4,000 CarQuest Auto Parts stores all across North America. The Illinois Lottery. Have a ball with the Illinois Lottery during their 30th anniversary celebration. By Pepsi. It's the Cola. And by Southwest Airlines, non-stop service to 59 destinations all across the country. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom.
This is 4 months.
Here we go again, folks. It's the Cubs and the Cardinals. You don't need to say a whole lot more than that. St. Louis won Game 1 of this series 4-3. Last evening in rainy, sopping wet weather, the Cubs return the favor 4-2 behind Matt Clement's masterpiece. Steve Stone joins me from Busch Stadium. Who will be today's hero for Dusty Baker?
Well, it's hard to believe that Matt Morris has done so well against the Cubs lifetime, but he's 10-2 against them. Yet look at some of the averages and you realize that this particular Cub team has added a whole lot of players that really hit Morris well. And this is a year to go at him because he's throwing home runs in bunches. And during a day game here, it's very lively with 372 to the power alleys. Most of those guys in that lineup are very happy to see Matt Morris, especially if he hangs that overhand curveball.
And that is the Cubs Pepsi lineup. Pepsi, it's the cola. Keep an eye on Todd Walker. He's hitting .500 against Morris. Patterson 7 for 18. Moises Alou has hit a couple of home runs against him, so hopefully the Cubs bats will be booming early to give Carlos Zambrano some early support here at Busch Stadium.
There's the defense and how they'll line up behind Morris. Langford, Edmonds, and Sanders left to right. Roland, Renteria, Womack, and Pujols. The Gold Glover, Mike Matheny behind the plate, and Matt Morris on the hill.
Morris to work, and Walker sprays it out of play. We're underway. Gorgeous weather here in St. Louis. Partly sunny skies. 57 degrees, although much warmer on the field of play with the bright sunshine beaming down. And a line drive to left field. Walker leads off the game with a safety. His first hit in this series.
Well, he got a fastball, in fact, 2 straight fastballs, and that's what Morris does a lot. Early in the game, he tries to establish the fastball and doesn't throw a whole lot else. This is a high fastball up in the zone, one of the reasons why Morris is giving up so many home runs. And the Cubs would like to get on the board early because they know their pitcher doesn't give up quite as many home runs as the Cardinal pitcher.
Corey Patterson hitting .264, takes a strike. Angel Hernandez, by the way, our home plate umpire tonight. Or today, I should say, with Mike Everett, Mark Wegner, and Larry Young, the rest of the umpiring crew today. Cubs enter play, tied with the Astros atop the Central Division, 2 games in front of Cincinnati.
Dusty Baker believes that some of the troubles that Corey's experiencing is because he's thinking about home runs too much. That he should think about hitting the ball back up the middle. That home runs will come, especially today.
Sharply hit ball towards second. Womack to Renteria 1 and on to first for the double play. That ball hit right on the button, but right to Womack. 2 out, bases clear for Sammy Sosa.
This Cardinal infield is not going to miss a double play chance. Renteria's terrific at shortstop. He makes the play, and even with the speed of Corey from the left side, he's thrown out by a step on the relay. It was hit so hard that Walker didn't have a chance to get a piece of Renteria on the pivot.
Sammy Sosa facing Morris for the first time today. He's been putting in a lot of extra time with Sarge Matthews in the hitting cage. Sammy just 3 hits on the road trip. And Matheny takes some punishment. Morris goes right after him and is ahead 2 strikes. Bases empty here in our top half of the first. And a line drive hit to right. It'll hang up for Sanders, and Morris retires the Cubs without any damage done in the first. To the hill comes Carlos Zambrano with no score at Busch. Here's a look at the Cardinals starting lineup under their skipper Tony La Russa. Tony Womack leads off at second. Ray Langford is in left. Albert Pujols, the Cardinal first baseman. Then it's Jim Edmonds, Scott Rowland, and Edgar Renteria. Reggie Sanders, Mike Matheny with a milestone performance last night behind the plate. And of course, Matt Morris, a very good hitting pitcher, by the way, in the number 9 spot.
There's a Cubs Pepsi defense. Pepsi, it's the cola with Alou, Patterson, and Sosa left to right. Ramirez, Gonzalez, Walker, and Lee in the infield. Michael Barrett once again behind the plate. And Carlos Zambrano on the hill, trying to defeat the Cardinals for the first time in his very young career.
And a quick strike to Tony Womack. You want to beat these guys, you got to keep Womack off the base paths.
And watch the bunt.
Fly ball center field. That's not his game. Corey Patterson, ball carrying nicely, drifts back for out number 1.
You love to see Womack hitting the ball in the air. If he does that, he's probably not going to hurt you too much. One guy you have to worry about today is Renteria, because over the course of his career, he's had otherworldly success against Zambrano.
Langford at 296. A couple of home runs for St. Louis, 3 in fact, 6 driven in. Missed all of last year with injury and won the left field starting job for St. Louis late in spring training. No balls and a strike.
He worked with Mitchell Page, the hitting instructor, on shortening his swing. This was a guy that could strike out 150, 160 times a year. What he's doing now is getting a little more conscious of taking the ball to the opposite field. He'll hit ropes to left center where he used to lift lazy high fly balls that way.
Out of play foul. Langford in his earlier incarnation with the Cardinals was more of a run producer for them. Now with Womack leading off, he has to be more selective in the count and does have to punch the ball.
Well, they tried him as a leadoff hitter and he struck out way too many times, and then they put him in the middle of the lineup. He hit some home runs and drove in some runs, but still not cutting down on his strikeouts. And he thought that his career was over, but somehow he got the itch. He went to winter ball and then he started feeling pretty good. So he called up Walt Jocketty and the Cardinals and said, "You got nothing to lose. Why don't you just bring me to spring training and see if I have anything left?" Well, he's their everyday left fielder.
Did he go around? Angel Hernandez says yes. Langford down on strikes here in our first inning. 2 away for Pujols. Nobody on, and that's how you like to face this man for the Cardinals.
Some high heat from Carlos. And Angel Hernandez doesn't even go to the pellet process. He just says, "Take a seat, son." Larry Young said, "Of course you swung."
Here's Pujols. A 7-game hit streak kept alive with a late base hit last night.
I don't like to see Carlos is pumped up as he usually is in the first inning. He's throwing the ball a lot higher than he usually does.
That was the
throw
trouble.
ground balls later.
That was the trouble he had in Arizona. A lot of pitches up in the strike zone, with the exception to the one guy you wanted to keep the ball up to. That was Richie Sexson.
Well, although this guy is struggling for him, and he's struggling at 286, he's a real tough hitter.
High and tight, 2 balls and a strike. Many in Cardinal country wonder if this will be the year that Pujols breaks through and wins the MVP over Barry Bonds.
There's going to be a few other candidates this year.
That's down with Edmonds waiting next. 3 balls and a strike.
I think now that Albert has one position to play every day, and that's first base, he will eventually settle in and be even more destructive than he's been in the past.
And a good rip, full count.
If you had to pick one guy, Chip, in all of baseball that you would say that he resembles, he's in the early stages, and with a little more power, he looks like Edgar Martinez of Seattle, who's been a great hitter for a long time. Pujols has all those abilities and probably will hit many more home runs.
3-2 pitch. That missed the outside corner. Pujols aboard with 2 outs. Well, I'm all in favor of the Cardinals shipping Pujols to Seattle. Edgar's probably going to retire at the end of this year. They'll be looking for a DH in the Pacific Northwest, and I think he'd be a perfect complement for Bob Melvin.
Well, it's certainly a lot better than seeing him 18 or 19 times a year in the same division. Jim Edmonds was talking about the eventual end of his career in the paper this morning. He said once it's over for him, it'll be over, but he signed through 2006. Said he has other interests, more than happy to leave the game. And he says that now. I'm not sure that that will continue to be his idea, because right now he's still playing at a very high level.
Pujols, a nice lead from first. 1-0 pitch is over the inside corner. Edmonds spun away from that. It's even at a ball and a strike.
Edmonds' strength is Zambrano's strength. He hits low fastballs. He likes them out over the plate, and if he gets them there, he hits them very hard.
1-1 pitch now. Didn't mean to, and that's a break. It's into the seats, and Edmonds down to his last strike here in our first inning.
You'd like to see Carlos go to the 4-seamer and throw it up and away to Edmonds, because when Carlos is heating it up, usually in the first couple innings, he's able to get it up there at 98. And if he does throw it right at the Cardinal logo, keep it away, Edmonds won't be able to get on top of it.
Ah, they got Pujols picked off. They caught him leaning. Let's see if they can finish the deal. They can. It's thrown away. How about that?
The Cubs have split this series 1-1, but they've been called on to execute a couple of times and have not been able to do it. There's an example of it. You get out of the first inning without having to face Edmonds. Pujols with a false step. It should be easy after this. And that ball thrown away, and it would have to go E6. First error of the day. And it opens the door for Edmonds. He's down 1-2. But you can't give a good team 4 outs in an inning, and the Cubs are going to do that at least this inning to the Cardinals.
Edmonds has struggled with men at second and third base in the early going, hitting a .148 for the Cardinals. The Cubs would like that batting average to dip here in the first. 1-2 pitch. Indeed it does. Zambrano pitches around the error and the walk. We have no score after 1 in St. Louis. Let's take a look at our Hotels.com on the road. Moises Alou and Alex Gonzalez on this road trip, Steve, have been very, very productive, along with Cubs catcher Michael Barrett in the number 8 spot in the batting order.
Well, right now, Alou's been particularly destructive. If he gets a first pitch to his liking, he's going to let it go, but that was a pitcher's pitch, and he figured couldn't do anything with it.
Any pitching pattern you picked up from Matt Morris the first go-round in this ballgame?
He hasn't thrown the curveball yet. He's thrown all fastballs and 1 straight change, that last pitch to Alou. So it'll be interesting to see when he finally breaks out the hook.
There it was. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And the first time you look at it, you really can't pick it up. This is a terrific curveball. It's spinning tightly. It breaks low and away. It absolutely is a perfect pitch.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Alou. And Mo looks at that downstairs, 2-2. Morris.
Now, well, if I'm Morris here, I go back to that good curveball. And from Moises' standpoint, it's a good pitch to try to take the other way if he keeps it in the same spot.
Morris, a free agent to be for St. Louis. Kicks and fires. And he did go to the breaking ball, and Alou stays alive. Cardinals are concerned. There's been a drop off in velocity for Morris. He has struck out just 16 men in 34 innings. And in this ballpark, he's given up a ton of home runs. That one well out of the reach of Alou. Full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Morris is a big man at 6'5", 220 pounds. He's 29 years old, and he was picked in the same draft as Kerry Wood. He was picked 12th. Wood was 4th.
Rolled toward Rolen over at third base. 1 man down.
That's really the wrong guy to hit it to, because you're going to spend a great deal of time trying to get it by Scott Rolen and not do it. And then when he does get his hands on it, he normally makes a perfect throw to first.
Here's Aramis Ramirez, the Cub third baseman. Big blow in the game last night. That was the 3-run home run in the 4th inning off Jeff Sappan, who, like Matt Clement, pitched a very good game for St. Louis, and they need him desperately.
I can't hear you, Petey.
1 ball, 1 strike. In the air down the right field line, Albert Pujols near the tarp and makes the basket catch with a bobble. How about that play?
Well, Albert can play anywhere on the field, and a lot of folks truly believe that he's going to win a Gold Glove at first base. If not this year, then certainly down the road. He went over, knew where the tarp was. The ball always drifts back toward the field of play. That's just one of the oddities of baseball. And Pujols makes a very good catch.
2 outs for Derek Lee. Derek 3 for 6 in the series. And a big swing and a miss. Derek's always said, very honestly, he's a slow starter. And he has started slowly as far as the power numbers are concerned. But Dusty Baker, the big vote of confidence for him today, said, look, let's evaluate the trade with the Marlins in August and September, not on May 2nd. And despite the lack of big power numbers for Derek Lee, this man saved 4 or 5 games defensively already for the Cubs at first base.
I think you're going to see that all year.
Morris backs him off the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
One of the things that Dusty mentioned, that Derek was getting tied up with his right elbow in too close to his body. That doesn't allow him to swing freely. And he likened him to what Joe Morgan used to do, where Morgan used to flap his elbow to remind him to keep that elbow out away from his body and get a little more freedom. It worked yesterday as Derek Lee went 2 for 4.
1-2 to the Cub first baseman. The breaking ball, did he go? He did not. Mike Everett with the call at first. Morris wanted the call third. Didn't get it. 2-2 now.
We'll look at it again. Well, I would say that we've seen that called before, but wasn't called this time, so the count moves to 3-2. Remember, Edmonds plays a very shallow center field, so he sets up for particularly good catches out there.
Morris working quickly and effectively, has his first strikeout of the game. 2 very good innings for the Cardinal right-hander, and still no score. Scott Rowland leads off the St. Louis second. We have no score. Cubs have the game's only hit to this point. And Carlos falls behind a dangerous man. Ball 2, 2-0 the count. Rowland 0 for 6 so far in the series. And he's been one of the Cardinals' most consistent offensive performers. 27 RBIs in that St. Louis lineup in April.
This could turn out to be one of the great trades these Redbirds ever made.
Sharply hit and fair into the corner. That'll ricochet oddly off the Southwest Airlines sign, and Rowland scampers in with a leadoff double.
This is one of the parks where if the ball is hit down the line, the shortstop has to go get it, because many times it ricochets back toward the infield. Rowland hits the daylights out of this one, takes it right by Ramirez, and knows he's got 2 bases. And as it goes down the line, it doesn't bounce out toward Moises Alou. It bounces back toward the infield. So now it's up to Renteria to move him along.
He's only 2 for 18 with men in scoring position this year.
But he is 8 for 12 lifetime against Zambrano.
That's the problem. So let's see which stat weighs heavier here. The bunt try is foul. The Cardinals second only to Houston in our league in sacrifices offensively. And they know the importance of an early run against Carlos Zambrano, and with their ace Matt Morris going, they'll give up the out for the extra 90 feet on the base paths.
You have to keep your eye consistently on Rowland, because despite the fact that he is a very big man, he steals some big bases.
1 strike. That's inside. 1 ball. 1 strike to the Cardinal shortstop, another free agent to be. And the Cardinals, Steve, in the offseason are going to have some pretty big financial decisions to make with some of the would-be free agents.
Well, I think Renteria is going to be priority number 1 for them.
Line down the right field line, but that's going to slice out of play.
And I say that because they've got Rowland tied up long term. They've got Pujols tied up long term. If they sign Renteria, that's 75% of a very consistent Gold Glove caliber infield. They might have to do a little something with their outfield. They've got Edmonds through 2006 with an option through 2007. And they can make adjustments on the corners.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Edgar Renteria. We are scoreless in the second inning, and that's letter high. 2-2 now.
Cardinals also have to make a decision on Mike Matheny, who also is a Gold Glove catcher. But apparently they have a youngster in the minor leagues, the 3rd Molina brother, who they think is the best of the bunch. They're not quite sure if he's ready yet.
Lined right to Derek Lee. No play at second. That ball hit like a laser beam. 1 man down. Renteria unable to advance Rowland. Now Reggie Sanders the hitter.
Well, he was trying to do the right thing, going to right field, but you can see Derek Lee well off the line, and fortunately able to corral that one. So he took it to the right side with nothing to show for it.
Reggie Sanders is 1 for 8 in the series. Finally, a multi-year contract for Sanders. Cardinals gave him a 2-year deal, and they're delighted with the production they've given him. 8 home runs, 22 driven in. And time granted by home plate umpire Angel Hernandez.
And you might remember Jim Mudcat Grant. Pitched for a lot of teams, the Cleveland Indians when I was growing up, Minnesota Twins, and he was a good one.
That one dances over for a strike. It's 0-1.
Nobody's pushing Rolen back at second base, and somebody better pay attention to him. This is a running team. They've been successful 75% of the time. 22 steals. They've been caught 7 times, and Rolen's getting a huge lead at second.
No balls and a strike to the Cardinal right fielder, and again, time is called. Jim Mudcat Grant from 1958 to 1971. 14 years in the big leagues with 145 career wins, including 21 with the Minnesota Twins back in 1965. 1 strike pitch. Over but low to even it up. Walker playing peekaboo with Rolen out at second base, and that's ripped back toward us. Sanders still alive in this Cardinals second inning. Lots of other baseball today. We'll update you on the Central Division scores in just a moment. The one score of big interest for Cubs fans: Reds 2, Houston nothing. That one after 2 down at Minute Maid Park.
Zambrano has a couple of different choices here. Both of them wind up in strikeouts. The face-high fastball he'll throw by him middle in, and if he throws a forkball or that hard slider in the dirt, he'll also get him.
The 1-2 pitch. It was the former. 2 men down. Third strikeout for Zambrano, and here is Game 1's looking hero, Mike Matheny.
You see where Barrett's standing. He wants a high fastball. That's a 4-seamer that doesn't sink. He keeps it up there and throws it right by him. Sanders has no chance with that pitch. That's if you get ahead, and Carlos gets it up there in the high 90s. A lot of people just view him as a straight sinker baller. His game is starting to round out. He can do a lot of different things.
Here's Mike Matheny. A bases loaded 9th inning walk in Game 1 decided the first matchup of the year. And Matheny, with a defensive replacement last night, did something that's never been done before. 200 consecutive games without an error behind the plate. Wow.
Not bad. You have to wonder why he doesn't win the Gold Glove every year. And normally you would say, well, look, pitch around him here, put him on first, and throw to the pitcher in the on-deck circle. But the pitcher, Matt Morris, is a real good hitter.
He's hitting almost 400. And that's not a limited sample. He's 5 for 13 this year, so you have to be careful indeed with Matheny. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ripped foul, 1-2. Zambrano going right after him, as well he should. A springtime chill in the air. Nice day to pitch and watch the ball game. Boy, the Cub fans last night, just awesome. Hearty souls, one and all, sitting through 3 hours of heavy rain to watch the Cubs beat up on the Cardinals last night. 1-2 count. Driven foul by Matheny.
I'd like to send along birthday greetings to Laura Lasco, celebrating birthday number 26. Sunny Phoenix, Arizona.
1-2 pitch to the Cardinal catcher Mike Matheny. Good idea, but Carlos just missed the outside corner now.
Carlos thought this was good enough, but Angel Hernandez said, "Michael, you set up outside and tried to fool me. Shame on you."
That's against the rules. 2 balls, 2 strikes. High hopper up the middle. Alex charges, third hop, fires to first in time, and Carlos Zambrano works around a leadoff double by Scott Rowland. No score heading to our third. Where baseball is always on.
Well, that's where you're wrong, my misguided friend. For me, it's just baseball, baseball, baseball when that calendar turns from March to April.
Just like our fine general manager Jim Hendry. Work, home, and church this time of year. And in the third inning, Alex Gonzalez will do some work against Matt Morris. Alex at .267 on the campaign.
Well, the more curveballs that Morris throws, the more opportunity he has to hang them. And that last one hung up there, but Alex couldn't pull the trigger. Cardinals really have a choice in who they want to bring back. It's only going to be one of either Matt Morris or Woody Williams. On the surface, it looks like a no-brainer, with Morris a #1 type starter and Williams certainly an aging veteran.
That one rolled up the middle. Womack with a bad elbow, low throw. Pujols digs it out. Womack coming back from Tommy John surgery, made the jump throw and retires Gonzalez for the first out of our third inning.
Good pickup by Pujols as Womack ranges up the middle. You don't really have a great deal of time to set your feet, so you go up in the air and trust that your first baseman is going to help you out.
Michael Barrett, a pleasant offensive surprise for the Cubs, especially, Steve, when you consider where he's been hitting all year long.
Well, 13 runs batted in the 8th spot. What I like is he uses the whole field. Morris has a real good curveball today.
This guy's always been tough for the Cubs to beat. Hopefully today will be one of the days they can. And Matheny takes some punishment. One catcher to another. No balls, 2 strikes to Michael Barrett.
Getting back to the choice, Matt Morris makes a whole lot of money, right around this year, $13 million. And you never really know what's going to be in the budget from year to year. Although they've drawn very well down here, especially in this series. Last night, 49,000 plus. The opening night, 44,000 plus. And a huge crowd here today. And a lot of blue in the seats.
1-2. That one did hang, and Michael rolls it over to third base. A quick second out. The Cardinals are building their new ballpark. It is in process now. They've broken ground on the new facility. They think it'll open up in a couple of years. But again, it's a privately financed stadium, and the ownership here on the hook for its construction, and ultimately will reap the rewards and benefits of the new ballpark.
Well, that's why Danny Herron, a youngster, and Adam Wainwright, another youngster, both pitchers, both on the horizon and probably going to come up this year, certainly next year. They will fill a couple of spots in starting rotation.
Carlos Zambrano at .273 on the year.
Carlos said that he might go up there and look for a hook somewhere in the at-bat. He says if Morris hangs it, that might be it.
So in other words, pretend it's Wade Miller up there, right?
That's exactly right. That was the curveball, but Morris kept it down. Carlos is a good hitter, and he takes his hitting seriously. He's a switch hitter with real good power.
That one rolled well off target down the third base line. 1-2 count to Carlos Zambrano. He and Matt Morris in another very well pitched game here in St. Louis. Another chance over at third. Rowland knocks it down, picks it up, and the Zambrano's aboard. How about that?
Well, that time he got eaten up on the short hop, and we'll have to see what they give him. And they give him an error. That is the second error of the year for the normally sure-handed third baseman. And Carlos, credit him, he hustled down the line. If he doesn't hustle on what looked like a routine ground ball, Rolen's going to throw him out. But he beats the play by a good step and keeps the inning alive. So now Carlos, with the temperatures in the high 50s, going to get his jacket. And I love to see pitchers hustle down the line on anything in the infield, because if you get a reputation of doing that, you're going to get infielders around the league knowing that they have to hurry, and they might hurry themselves into mistakes.
So runner at first, 2 outs for Todd Walker. He lined a base hit leading off the game. That's the only hit the Cubs have tallied so far today. A quick strike. 0-1. Sharon Panazzo, the fine director of media relations for the Cubs, wants to congratulate Cub fans Tim Sawyer and Tammy Long from Mesa, Arizona, on their nuptials yesterday. Somewhat fitting that Tim Sawyer would be getting married while we're here in St. Louis, right by the Mississippi River. Obviously, Tom's brother.
No doubt about that.
Huckleberry Finn, probably the best man.
And I thought the ride you gave me yesterday, although lovely, a little extensive, showing me the places you grew up, the humble beginnings of what's grown into
very humble,
a legendary, all but brief career.
Not brief enough for some, I'm sure. 2 balls and a strike to Todd Walker. That one up the elevator shaft in foul ground. Matheny and Pujols. It'll be Pujols, and that'll do it for the Cubs in our 3rd inning. No runs, no hits, 1 error. Middle of the 3rd inning, scoreless.
Very nice.
Here we go to the Cardinals' half of the 3rd inning, and it's not an easy task. You've got a great hitting pitcher in Matt Morris, then the top with Womack and Langford to follow in a scoreless game.
Matt Morris in his 8th year in the major leagues, and he had the exact same surgery as Kerry Wood. Tommy John surgery, that tendon transplant.
A high hopper toward Zambrano. Handles the funny spin, and 1 pitch takes care of the Cardinal pitcher, who hobbled for a moment, I thought, when he got to the first base bag, but he just pulled up. No damage done. 1 man down. Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by Bud Light. Fresh, smooth, real, it's all here. Bud Light.
Womack didn't bunt the first time, and you have to watch it here. He would probably be better served if he would drag it up the first base side, but when he bunts, we've noticed he usually bunts toward 3rd, and Ramirez is in close on the grass.
Womack hit the ball in the air to lead off the Cardinals' offensive game plan. 1 strike here in our 3rd inning.
He's 8 for 8 in stolen bases, so nobody's gotten him yet.
There's the bunt try, but it's foul. 0-2. Cubs will play the Diamondbacks starting Tuesday night. First 2 night games of the year at Wrigley Field, Tuesday and Wednesday. Sergio Mitre will go against Steve Sparks Tuesday. Kerry Wood, Casey Daigle Wednesday. Matt Clement, Elmer Descends Thursday.
I don't believe that Thursday unless Randy Johnson is having some problems, because he pitched yesterday, and I know what the matchups look like, but if you keep Randy on every 5th day, then he will go on Thursday. We'll have to see what Bob Brenly has in mind. If I had that team and it was struggling somewhat without Richie Sexson, I would want the big unit every 5th day, and you can juggle people around him.
2-2 to Womack. See you later. Zambrano has his 4th strikeout. He goes up and away to take care of the Cardinal leadoff man. Speaking of the Diamondbacks, they're winning again today, beating the Phillies 1-0, and that man Steve Finley's hit another home run for them.
Good high heat by Zambrano, and he's learned that you can stay down. You can stay down. You changed the eye level of the hitter, and then you go up with the high fastball. Kerry Wood does it well. Mark Pryor does it especially well, and now Zambrano has learned to do the same thing.
Langford down on strikes his first time. Reds beating the Astros 3-0 now. Brandon Larson, another RBI for Cincinnati. That game now in the 3rd inning. Pirates 1, Brewers nothing. That's in the bottom of the third inning at Miller Park. Milwaukee 12-12. The Pirates 11-11.
Everybody in the Central playing at least 500 baseball or better. The only division in baseball that has that.
1-1 pitch, high and tight. That's really interesting. Everyone, I think, at the start of the season thought Boston, Baltimore, New York, and Toronto, 4 of the 5 members of the AL East, would comprise the most difficult division in baseball, and it still very well may over the final 5 months. But you've got Toronto and Tampa Bay below 500, and Boston in front of the Orioles and Yankees by 2.5 games.
Well, Toronto's just been awful, and I don't know how they're going to be able to turn it around. They have spent some money this year. Got a couple of pitchers on that team. But with the money that Boston, Baltimore, and New York have spent on their teams, it's going to be tough for Toronto.
Missed the inside corner, full count with Pujols waiting next.
Langford, another one of those guys that doesn't hit the high fastball very well, and he did a good job of just staying alive with that one. He's never had a real good conception of the strike zone, and the last thing that Carlos wants to do is to walk him and keep the inning alive for Pujols.
Can we get some of those up here? That was a good looking shot. That's off the inside corner. Ball 4, second walk for Carlos Zambrano. Pujols to hit. Before he does, let's pause for station identification.
You're watching Superstation WGN, your home for your favorite sports.
Looks like something I can club you with.
Well, I know it's not a dinner check, then that wouldn't apply. Even our broadcast colleague, who will go unnamed, is getting in on the not picking up the check act.
I believe we're at the point, Chip, where I have gotten to the stage where I'm about to bust. So I have to relate the tale of this particular road trip.
Well, why don't we,
in the world of Cub former third baseman.
There are 2 outs in the inning as Pujols digs in. High pop, out of play to the right side. It's 0-1. And don't misunderstand, this is all true. We couldn't make it up, and it's all in the spirit of sharing our adventures on the road with our great audience.
We are, as you know, in the television realm of reality TV. And we can beat any of those others.
There's no doubt about it. No balls and a strike. Nasty pitch. Boy, you don't see Pujols take too many cuts like that. He's a real tough guy to strike out, but he looked foolish on that swing.
That looked like the same type of pitch thrown by Kerry Wood. That was a forkball, however, and he had Pujols well out in front of it. This guy struck out his first at bat of the year and then went 70-some at bats before he struck out his second time. Kerry Wood got him the first time up in the first game of the series.
2-strike pitch. Popped him up. Right side of the diamond, Walker and Derek Lee. It'll be Derek Lee in foul ground. And down go the Birds in the third inning of play. Patterson, Sosa, and Moises Alou coming up in a scoreless game heading to the fourth.
Consent of the Chicago Cubs.
No need to cool off Carlos Zambrano. He's throwing brilliantly today, as is Matt Morris for the Cardinals. The 2, 3, 4 spots coming up for the Cubs now in our fourth inning, with Corey Patterson taking a first pitch strike. Corey hit the ball right on the nose in the first inning, but hit into a 4-6-3 double play.
Both of these teams an identical baseball game to this point. No runs. Each team with 1 hit. Each team with 1 error. Both pitchers dominating. And you wouldn't expect anything less from these 2 teams. This has been a terrific series. Split at 1 each to this point.
He looks that one low. Morris's fastball in the upper 80s right now.
Well, Corey should get a real good pitch to hit here, but hopefully if it's out of the zone, he'll lay off. The Cubs would love his speed on to start the inning.
3-1 count. And that's lined to second. A sinking line drive. The bat might have been broken on the play. 1 out in the 4th inning.
One of the pitches that Morris has added this year, as his velocity is down somewhat, has been a sinker. He never really threw a great deal of sinkers very much. But we talked to some scouts around baseball, and they said watching him in the early outings, he was relying on that sinker more and more.
That ball fouled at the plate to Sammy Sosa, who lined to right. Just 3 balls, make that 4 balls hit in the air against Morris. But 3 of them have been on the infield. Cubs aren't getting real good swings against their longtime nemesis so far today. 1 strike, bases clear. Another ground ball. This one to second again. Womack. 2 down.
First 2 games, apparently they had the velocities of both pitchers displayed in the stadium. And today they don't. Maybe because of the disparity between Zambrano and Morris, or because the velocity of Morris has been down. That's where it normally is, and the ever vigilant Sarge Matthews was looking up there to try to find it. It wasn't there. And he inquired as to what in the world is going on here in St. Louis. There's the amiable hitting coach of the Cubs.
1 strike pitch to Alou. Sharply hit to Rolen. 2 steps to his right and a perfect throw. 3 up, 3 down in the 4th. The duel continues in St. Louis. We have no score. No score, bottom of the 4th inning, middle of the Cardinal order. That means Edmonds, Rolen, and Renteria to face Mr. Zambrano. And the ball off the plate. Cubs on the road 1 more day after today. It'll be great to get home to Chicago for a week, face the Diamondbacks for the final time, and get our first look at Clint Hurdle's Colorado Rockies. And I'm sure the coach happy to get home too.
I would say that Ron Santo would love to get off this trip. His bride will meet him, and they're going to bring their dog.
A new
back
addition
home
to the Santo family, we understand.
They've got a dog that was raised in Quebec, Canada. French Canadian dog, as it were. And Ron was very concerned because he didn't speak French, and he didn't know of the training process and if the dog would listen to him. To which his wife said, "Don't worry about a pal, it's a dog." That was adventure number 1 on this trip. That took about a day and a half to explain to Ron that
the dog doesn't speak English or French.
Right.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Jim Edmonds. He struck out in the 1st. Carlos has him set up again. And he got him again. That's 5 punch outs in the game. And right now the Cardinals swinging at the invisible ball. Here's Rolen. He doubled off the signage down the left field line his first time up.
Carlos is using that higher than high fastball to retire the Cardinals. Again, that's the spot that Edmonds can't handle. And Carlos is running it up there real well today. This is the lone guy to solve Zambrano.
A rocket down the left field line. Check swing. He did not offer. 2-0 is your count.
One of the guys they traded for Rolen was Placido Polanco, along with Bud Smith and Mike Timlin, on July 29th of 2002.
Rolen has another hit over the outstretched glove of Ramirez. A 1-out single here in the Cardinal 4th. Friends, subscribe to Vineline, the Cubs official monthly magazine. Vineline offers exclusive player profiles, team analysis, and unparalleled minor league coverage every month. Subscription start at only $22.95. Check out the Sears Player of the Month recap every month from May to November. Call 1-800-248-9467 or visit Cubs.com and order Vineline today.
This is a good hit and run situation for Tony La Russa.
Short lead, no movement, and a ball low. Renteria again, the man that's killed Zambrano, and he hit a rocket that Derek Lee snagged last time around.
Well, Carlos is quick to home plate. That's a real good aspect of his game.
One ball, no strikes. Big hole right side. Renteria yanks that past Jose Oquendo. Oh, and the ball dude or dudette couldn't make the play.
And we have to give an error to the ball person. Notice the politically correct way to address that.
PC, several of your initials. One ball, one strike. The snap throw back to first.
Last throw that Zambrano made to home plate, it took 1.07. League average 1.3. So he's tough to run on if you're talking about a straight steal.
Dave McKay manning the stopwatch over there, and he's signaling and relaying those numbers to Scott Rowland, the man standing in front of him at first base. Double play ball would be nice here. The Cubs turned 3 of those last evening. Ramirez couldn't handle it. That'll be an interesting score. 2 are on with 1 out.
Well, that's got to go as a base hit. And it does. And one of the reasons why it was a base hit, Chip, is that the last time up, Renteria showed bunt. And that brought Ramirez in close. If you show bunt and you pull him in at the corners, then when you hit a ball like this, it's a lot tougher to field. He was in at the cut of the grass. If he was back at his normal position, it's 1 hop, probably a double play. Didn't work out that way, so it's 2 on, 1 out.
Yeah, Ramos was on his knees diving for the ball before it got to him, trying to keep it in front of him. He had it deflect to deep shortstop, and no play for Alex there, so big trouble brewing for St. Louis in the 4th. 2 on, 1 out for Reggie Sanders. Again, as Steve mentioned, if you think about a strikeout, you'd love to see one here. Sanders has 2 spots in which he's vulnerable. 3 Cardinal hits, no runs have been scored today. Barrett a good stop, 1 ball, no strikes.
Base stealers will tell you it's easier to steal third than it is second because you can get a much better lead and they don't pay as much attention to you out there.
Ball 2 with Matheny waiting on deck.
Runners in scoring position this year, Reggie Sanders has been awfully tough.
And he and Rowland really have been the dual rangers in that regard for St. Louis. Their offense at times, like the Cubs, very inconsistent. 2 balls, no strikes. 2 on for the Cardinals. Well, he had a good look at that pitch. 2-1.
Remember when they used to put burnt cork under their eyes to stop the reflection?
Well, obviously, Major League Baseball players taking their cue from the jockeys in the Kentucky Derby had to get brand names on the eye black. Popped up, back toward us. When Bill Miller retires, he'll get royalties from those folks.
Could very well be.
I mean, when you are the reigning American League batting champion, they do start to name things after you. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Reggie Sanders digs in. Here it comes. And down he goes. Boy, Zambrano is just pitching beautifully. Sanders asks if it was a strike. That's 6 strikeouts into the 4th.
Merritt wants it inside. Carlos with great movement on that fastball. That one just dives low and in. And if Reggie can't get his arms out, he's got problems.
You mentioned that Carlos threw a forkball to Albert Pujols earlier in the game. He doesn't throw many of those. And from a pitching perspective, how many times does a pitcher have to throw that pitch to be effective with it in a ballgame?
It just really depends on how he feels on a given day.
Broken bat, 1 hopper, handcuffs Walker, but the play made it second in time, and that'll retire the side. Cardinals get 2 hits, leave them both stranded, and 1 bat broken as well. No score going to the 5th.
Check one.
Let's take a look at our upcoming high definition television schedule, brought to you by our friends at Grant's Appliances, Electronics, and more. Back home with 2 night games with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Then we'll welcome the Rockies to town over the weekend. Of course, those high definition games for our Chicagoland viewing audience only. And our thanks to our friends at Grant's for a great look at America's greatest ballpark, Wrigley Field in Chicago. Let's get some offense going. The man that first strided into the batter's box was Todd Walker. He has the only Cub hit. And here in the 5th, Ramirez, Lee, and Gonzalez to face Matt Morris.
Matt Morris throwing one of his best games of the year. Zambrano usually keeps the ball in the ballpark. Morris doesn't.
But he is today, in 2 strikes to Ramirez, who popped out his first time up.
He's had great command of that outside corner low and away to the right-handers, and that usually will keep the ball in the park.
There's strikeout number 2. 1 away in the Cub 5th inning already.
Morris got ahead, and then he took a page out of the book of Carlos Zambrano by throwing that higher than high fastball and throwing it right by Ramirez.
The Cubs first baseman Derek Lee hits now. And his breaking ball has been around the plate all day, and he's getting it over consistently for a first pitch strike. 1-1 your count. Cardinals need Morris and Woody Williams to stay healthy this year if they're going to compete in the Central. That's been a big problem for them the last couple of years. Their pitching rotation has been shredded and decimated by injury, and of course the death of Darryl Kyle, a crippling blow for this Cardinal organization in more ways than just what he did on the field. 2-1 to Lee. Ripped into right center field. Derek Lee's aboard. Sharply hit. Edmonds cuts it off, and Lee has 4 hits in 8 tries in the series. So his bat a little more lively here in St. Louis.
That fastball had too much of the plate as far as Morris was concerned, and Lee found it in a good spot. Now, if you're Alex Gonzalez, go up looking for a first ball fastball. If you get it middle in, that's the one you unload on. If you get a hook, just take it.
They're coming inside, it would appear. Lee a lead from first. They know he can run. Morris taking some time, and now time asked for and granted at the plate. The way Zambrano and Morris are pitching, 1 run might be enough today.
Well, at least on that pitch, Matheny was setting up inside. With a right-hander on the mound and a right-hand hitter, you set up inside, it's the fastball.
Pitch out, nothing happening. Interesting strategy. You mentioned last night you don't often see a pitch out on the first pitch.
No,
in a betting sequence.
I said that I don't like to run on the first pitch because it's easy to see a pitch out because you only fall behind 1-0. This is the pitch. 1-0, you don't see the pitch out very much. If you're going to run, yeah, this is the spot.
He doesn't run. A little slow roller. I stand corrected. 1 ball, 1 strike to Alex Gonzalez.
I don't think they really want to use a straight steal against Matheny, however, who's one of the best and quickest throwers in the game. They've tried it once in the series. It appeared that it was a hit and run, and Barrett didn't swing. Gonzalez was thrown out rather easily. Now Lee has stolen a couple of bases. He's been caught once. The Cubs as a team have stolen 6. They've been caught 4 times, so they haven't run often and they haven't run all that effectively.
Lee leaning and draws a throw. He's back standing up. A ball and a strike. And now it's 1-2 to Alex Gonzalez.
Well, I would think that somebody in the coaching staff would be mentioning to the umpires, Matt Morris quick pitch that time. He did not hesitate for a 1-second pause. He kept his hands very low, never came to the set position for all that long, and just delivered the baseball. Now, he's trying everything that he can do to combat the base running of Lee, but you have to give him that 1-second pause.
Slowly hit toward third. That's tough play for Rolen. The grab, the throw not handled by Pujols. And 2 Cubs are aboard here with 1 out. That's another infield hit. So this inning setting up nicely now for Michael Barrett. 2 on, 1 out, scoreless game.
Good hustle by Alex. He thought that he had a chance to beat this out. Rolen was deep at third. Alex doesn't have great speed, but he hustled down the line. The off-balance throw is in the dirt, and Pujols can't scoop it out.
So here's Michael Barrett, 13 RBIs out of the number 8 spot in the order. You've got Zambrano waiting next.
Arms in center and right are very good for the Cardinals.
He takes a ball high, 1-0, and the Cub fans, with their throaty roar, make themselves heard for the first time this afternoon.
Edmonds, one of the best throwing center fielders in the game, as is Sanders.
Oh, he hung it. A ball and a strike.
Morris got away with one. There's the curveball. He gets his hand under the ball, and he knows that he was very fortunate.
That one off the plate. 2 balls, 1 strike. Barrett brings a 5-game hit streak into play this afternoon. And he has 4 hits already in the series. The pitch from Morris is pulled toward Rolen at third. Bobbles for a moment. Womack drops the ball. But they'll say on the transfer, Gonzalez is out at second base. They're at the corners with 2 outs now. And it allows, at the very least, Zambrano to hit here in the 5th inning.
The Cubs get a break because this could have been 2. Rolen does a nice job of securing the baseball. And on the transfer, Womack can't turn the double play. If he gets off the throw, there's a real good chance they're going to throw Barrett out at first. They don't, and it brings Zambrano with a chance to put the Cubs on top.
Carlos reached on an error his first time up, and there was the breaking ball you said he was looking for.
He got it. He was looking for it and just swung through it.
He's got the Ichiro at bat style from the left side. You see him walk up on that particular pitch?
Well, he wanted to get out of the box quickly in case he topped it in the infield.
Can't say as I blame him. Lee 90 feet away, but with 2 outs. There's another hook. 0-2. Will he throw him another one with 2 outs?
I think his performance on the first 2 might dictate a third. But if it's in the dirt, Matheny has got to block it.
Defensive swing, and that's into the seats.
And Dusty's laughing because this is called an emergency hack. Uh-oh, it's a fastball. Get out of there.
Man, that have made Willie Mosconi proud. That thing was humming toward the skipper. 0-2.
That was before my time. What did he do?
Who, the skipper? Inside. He stranded a lot of people on Gilligan's Island. 1-2 your count.
Talking about Alan Hale, of course.
Oh, who but? And of course, Don Wells is Ginger. 1-2 your count. No score. We're in the 5th. Another breaking ball, and Zambrano battling Morris here.
Things starting to get overcast in St. Louis. But a base hit would make it a whole lot brighter for the Cubs. This has been a great pitchers duel. Again, both teams 0, 3, and 1 for a line score. And we're in the top of the 5th.
There's another breaking ball. Bounce to Pujols off his glove. Still time. Morris gets to the bag and eyelash ahead of the on-charging Carlos Zambrano. Cubs get 2 hits. Leave him stranded midway through our game. Still no score.
Hi, I'm checking.
Hey, just a good ball game today. That's the best way to describe it. And a fine play keeps it scoreless for St. Louis.
Cubs almost got a run. Pujols to his right. He juggles this ball but stays with it. Matt Morris gets there just an eyelash ahead of Carlos Zambrano with Mike Everett on the call, and that kept it a scoreless tie.
And as a light rain begins to fall here at Busch Stadium, we head to the Cardinals' half of the 5th inning with Morris, Womack, and Langford coming up. Morris tapped back to the mound his first time up today. Before he bats, let's step aside quickly and tell you what's coming up on WGN.
Altered DNA gave them super abilities, but the forces of evil gave them the will to fight. Watch Mutant X, part of the Sci-Fi Sunday lineup, tonight at 7 Eastern on Superstation WGN.
Matt Morris to work in the Cardinal 5th. Anthony's outside corner. No balls and a strike. We mentioned the Diamondbacks. They lead now 4-0 in the 7th inning at Philadelphia. And the news for them regarding Richie Sexson a whole lot worse than originally thought. Not only does Sexson have a partial dislocation of the left shoulder, but he's also torn the labrum in his left shoulder.
Well, we said at the time that he had a chance to perhaps have to undergo surgery. He's going to be lost for at least a month, and they might entertain the idea of having it surgically repaired. So it looked, when he did it, as much pain as he was in for a guy who played every inning of every game last year, and this, like it would be some problems.
Problems for Morris. Zambrano strikes him out looking. That's 7 in the game, 1 away in the bottom of our 5th inning. On a more positive note, had to feel good about former Cub John Lieber pitching for the Yankees yesterday. Got the victory for New York. He went 7 innings for the Yankees and got a ton of offensive support as well.
His team was very happy. As you looked at Matt Clement, his team was very happy with his performance last night. He was just outstanding here. He handcuffed a real tough offensive team, and Clement ran his record to 4-1. This is as good a stretch as we've seen in a Cub uniform.
Way upstairs to Tony Womack. It's coming down pretty hard now, although not as hard as last night.
Well, the fans are moving to get a little shelter.
Well, the Cub fans are hanging in. The Cardinal
well,
fans.
certainly, yeah, the Cardinal fans. It's been a fairly soggy series, and we know the Cardinal fans are fair weather fans. So
those Cub fans are going to get a beer, I think. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Scoreless game, bases empty. And Womack
almost hit him, but he fouled it off.
Had he not fouled it off, they might have ruled that a swing. But he does stay alive here with the bases empty. Greg Maddux and Jason Marquez tomorrow.
And those. Well, let's watch this one again as he just barely fouls it off. You know, those eye black things really do well with the rain.
I'll bet. You know, your cheeks can get bruised very badly if you're not careful. 1-2 to Womack.
Keeps the reflection off the drops and allows you to hit that much better. Clement got Womack out inside last night.
Little roller hit towards second. Todd waits and takes care of Womack.
You can't wait all that long. Womack gets down the line in a hurry. So quickly, 2 up, 2 down. And again, Langford becomes a key out. You'd just as soon get him out and not face Pujols. That didn't happen. Same scenario in the 3rd inning when Carlos walked Langford, and fortunately he got Albert to pop one straight up to Derek Lee.
Both teams have had some scoring chances. None have come to fruition yet. 1 ball, no strikes to Langford.
You know what happens in his booth when it rains, don't you?
You get wet.
The booth leaks and the water drops.
Well, that's why they're building a new ballpark.
Water drops right on my section of the booth, not yours. So is that why you're a happy man at this point?
I'm happy pretty much all the time. Except when we dine together. 1 ball, 1 strike. But that's why they're building a new ballpark. When the superstar analysts have their hairdos mussed by the leaky ceilings, they've got to build a new facility. That's in the baseball bylaws. I'm surprised you didn't check that out.
We are laboring under duress here.
And under a leaky roof, too. 3 balls and a strike. There's Pujols. Let's worry about him after the Cubs take the lead in the 6th. But they've got to face him now with 2 outs.
Same thing happened the last time. Carlos lost his concentration and then his control. You hate to keep facing Albert with runners on.
Pujols has walked, took second on an error, and popped out.
The Cubs play him exactly straight away. You hope that Zambrano doesn't go in and down, because that's the one you pull down the line.
Pujols, the reigning batting champion. There have been a bunch of them to wear the golden bat of this Cardinal franchise. Willie McGee, Keith Hernandez, Stan Musial, Joe Torre, Johnny Mize, Joe Medwick, Chick Hafey, Rogers Hornsby, and Jesse Burkett, along with Pujols. And for inexplicable reasons, Langford starts, takes 5 steps, and heads back to first.
He does that, and all of your momentum is stopped. You head back to the bag the wrong way. And if a guy does hit a double, you can't possibly score.
And I would think, too, Steve, that's got to be somewhat distracting for a right-hand hitter who's looking at the play.
Well, you can't distract a right-hand pitcher doing that, but you can distract the hitter somewhat. Stay or go, but make up your mind.
No balls and a strike. Again, he's leaning, and a close play. Lee thought they got him. And a dust off for Langford over at first.
Well, Langford has yet to attempt a stolen base. And Carlos almost gets him. You have to go to the back of the bag, because you want to make that first baseman, especially a right-handed first baseman, have to move that tag further from where he catches it to where you're sliding.
No balls and a strike to Pujols. 2 outs. Scoreless game. Barrett, another good stop. Can't stress enough how much more comfortable handling this staff and calling the games Michael Barrett has been behind the plate for the Cubs.
In this series, he's dug absolutely everything out of the dirt. And Kerry Wood, Matt Clement, and Carlos Zambrano are not easy to handle. The rain, by the way, has abated.
It's also stopped. 1 ball, 1 strike. How about that short hop handle? 2-1 to Pujols. Edmonds waiting next.
Again, Langford started a run and stopped. Had he run this time, there's no way that Barrett could have thrown him out. He does a great job of picking this ball out of the dirt. There he goes. Oh well.
Pretty good lead over at first now. 2 balls and a strike to Pujols. No movement from first, and Albert swings and misses. 2-2.
That one just disappeared out of the zone. That could have very well been the forkball. It looks like a fastball. The hitter goes out to get it. It just dives straight down.
Toward third and out of play. Pujols, a 13th round pick by the Cardinals. What a find he has turned out to be. They've given him a huge contract. He's under contract with the Cardinals through 2010. Two balls, 2 strikes. Full count now.
Well, if they are indeed going to stay inside, I'd like to see Ramirez get a little closer to the line. You're not going to score a run if a guy hits the ball to your left. But you can score from first if the ball gets between Aramis and the bag. And if he throws a sinker in, that's usually where it goes.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Runner goes. The pitch is popped up again. Right side. Will it stay in play for Lee? Over near the tarp. He's going to lean in and come up a row short. Never like it when you give a guy like Pujols another look.
Well, even with the flags blowing toward left center, the wind actually took that ball into the seats, because as it revolves back toward the field of play, it looked like Derek was going to have a shot at it. As it turned out, he didn't. Nobody does flag shots better than Skip Ellison.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Runner again goes, and it's ripped foul past third, and Pujols breaks the bat. He's upset. That was his
gamer.
top gamer. Maybe we can get a split screen of all the flags they have here. Got the American flag in left center field, and flags of all the Cardinal affiliates in the minor leagues. Around the rim of the stadium in center field, and directly over our heads, the rest of the National League. And that's the flag that's flying proudly atop the Central Division at the moment.
They got flags everywhere. Flags for the world champions. Flags for the retired numbers. Wish they had a flag over my head. It'd stop raining on it.
That one caught on and missed. Ball dropped by Barrett. He'll make the peg to first, and Pujols, a rare feat, strikes out here in the 5th inning. This great duel continues at Busch Memorial Stadium.
What's here to do?
We'll receive a Major League Baseball Kerry Wood autograph. Compliments of Gatorade. Fans are encouraged to hold on to their cards for second chance drawings throughout the game. No purchase necessary. For complete rules, visit Cubs.com. Kerry Wood Autograph Baseball Day, sponsored by Gatorade, Thursday, May the 6th.
When Walker gets on to lead off an inning, normally the Cubs score. It didn't happen in the first inning because of the hard hit double play ground ball off the bat of Patterson. But if he gets on here in the 6th, a little later in the game, Cubs have a real good shot at breaking this scoreless tie.
Bouncing ball toward Womack, however, takes care of Todd Walker, who's 1 for 3. One away in the 6th inning in St. Louis. Corey Patterson coming up. He's played pepper with Womack as well twice today.
Matt Morris is throwing more ground balls than he's thrown in a game in a long time. That's a testament to that newfound sinker.
Patterson scalds that to center field. First pitch swing retires him. 2 out. Here's Sammy. He also looking for a base hit today for the first time.
In this entire series so far, which has spanned 2.5 games, the rain's been falling fairly constantly, but we haven't had a stoppage of play yet. And hopefully today will be the same because it is raining. However, it looks like it's clearing up off to our right, which is where the wind is coming.
That one took off the mask of Angel Hernandez on the ricochet. 0-2 to Sosa.
Well, Sammy's having some difficulty with high fastballs, and that's how the Cardinals are working it. You see the location, and you look at the mask of Mr. Hernandez.
Did he go? 1-2.
Bit of a break. The Cardinal fans boo. The Cub fans are ecstatic.
2-2.
Matheny wants it on the outside corner. That one rolled a little bit. Not one of Morris's better.
Driven in the air toward right. Sanders gives chase, runs out of real estate. We'll do it again. Sammy's last home run April 24th against Tyler Yates of the Mets.
Well, you'd like to see a hanging curveball, but you fear he's going to go to the high heat in.
That time it was good enough. Morris has his third strikeout. Cubs are retired in order in the 6th. No score in St. Louis.
Leon, you're starting.
Skies clearing in St. Louis now as Jim Edmonds strides to the plate. Carlos has gotten him on swinging strikeouts both times today.
I think this shapes up as a tough inning for Carlos to get through. The reason is that although he's handled Edmonds easily twice, the two guys up behind him normally handle Zambrano well. So you got to get Edmonds out, then worry about Rolen and Renteria.
He's pushing the 100 pitch mark as well as Mr. Zambrano. That doesn't diminish the wonderful game he's thrown. 8 Cardinal strikeouts today.
Carlos has been very good, and he's had to be because Matt Morris has matched him pitch for pitch.
2 balls and a strike. And that's where you like to go to retire Edmonds with the strikeout. Up and away.
And he's got really no chance on that one if Carlos continues to hit that spot. The uppercut swing. Edmonds tries to go up and get it, but with the uppercut swing, you can't get on top of it. There it is.
Bye-bye. That's 9 strikeouts. And Edmonds, 3 of them by himself. 1 away for Rolen, who's solved Zambrano twice. He's got 2 Cardinal hits today.
It looks relatively easy. That's if you throw 96 to 98 and can hit that spot. But Edmonds has been an all-star because most people can't do that.
Rolen 2 for 2. And that one catches the inside corner. We'll update you on the American League scoreboard in a second. White Sox are in action, leading Toronto 2-1. They finally cooled off Frank Catalanato, who went 6 for 6 yesterday
in a 9-inning game.
Rolling out of play, 1-2.
The sun is coming out, and the fans now, Cardinal fans, of course, streaming back to their seats, where they're being greeted by happy Cub fans who never left their seats.
Well, they'll be upset in a minute because they'll have to go buy some sunscreen. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That's off the plate at 2-2. How about the Texas Rangers? They sweep the Red Sox in a doubleheader yesterday. Texas, a game up in the West, with the 3rd best earned run average in the American League, as that one hammered toward left, and Moises Alou comes galloping in for out number 2.
First time he retired Rolen, and fortunately Rolen got that one off the end of the bat. Had a good swing at it. Carlos has some good moving stuff.
Texas, number 3 in the AL in ERA, 1st in batting average, 3rd in defense, taking on a Boston team, Steve, that says they're not distracted at all by Pedro Martinez.
Well, certainly, because Pedro, who picked just a terrible time to decide that he was going to discuss his contract, They spent a lot of money on this team, and Pedro was talking about being a free agent and how he's given them enough time to negotiate. And I got a real novel idea for Pedro. When you're facing the teams they're facing, you should shut up and pitch, which is what they pay you $17 million to do, and then worry about the contract situation later. But there is a soap opera every day amongst the boys of Fenway. Pedro's been a good pitcher. So have a few other guys over there, like Curt Schilling, for one, who's been terrific this year.
Babe Ruth, too. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Edgar Renteria. He has an infield hit and lined out back in the 2nd inning. For all the compliments thrown at both teams' offenses coming into this series, it has been just a great pitching series. 10 strikeouts for Zambrano today. Shades of Fergie and Gibby on the shores of the Mississippi.
Chicago.
Great pitching continues. Carlos Zambrano matches his career high with 10 strikeouts so far today. And as tough as Morris and Carlos have been to hit, it might get even tougher now with the bright sunshine and the lights on. Top spin roller toward Rolen. Bad hop, bare hand play. What a play. 1 down.
Well, this hasn't been the best defensive effort, but there's one for the highlight reels. That one caught the seam where the grass meets the dirt. He expected it in his left hand with the glove. What he got was a left turn on the baseball, and he got it in his right hand. Good effort by Rolen. Able to make the throw and get Moises by a step. Wow, pretty good effort.
Here's Aramis Ramirez. He's 0 for 2 in the game. Zambrano and Morris inducing a whole lot of hitting slumps today.
I just had a booth tragedy. I rested my Tootsie Pop on my lemonade, and it fell in. So Kelly, our booth AD, came to the rescue with an extra cup. That's why I was distracted for just an instant. Normally I'm right on it, but this time cherry Tootsie Pops are pretty good.
Oh, it's a good thing it's time to pause for station identification. We've got a scoreless game in the 7th.
You're watching Superstation WGN, your home for your favorite sports.
So how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
I'm not sure, but it's very good.
Double play ball hit towards short. There's one. Womack the turn. 7th inning in the books. Morris and Zambrano. Terrific games. Time to stretch here in St. Louis. Well, with the Tootsie Pop kid Steve Stone, Chip Caray in St. Louis, we have no score. Lower third up for the Cardinals. Each team with 3 hits, each team with 1 defensive mistake. And it's Reggie Sanders, Mike Matheny, and then Morris for the Cardinals.
Carlos has fanned Edmonds 3 times. He's gotten Sanders twice. And it's become a beautifully sunny day.
Ball 2 to Reggie Sanders. 8 home runs, 22 driven in. All of his home runs have been against right-handed pitching this year. And 1 might decide this one today. 2 balls and a strike. He didn't want to go around, but couldn't stop himself. 2-2.
Carlos is getting great movement. That ball's just exploding down and into the Cardinal hitters. And everything he's thrown has great movement. Sanders had no chance on the last one.
Sanders taking over in right field for the oft-injured J.D. Drew and Eli Marrero for the Cardinals. Those two reside in Atlanta. And there's a high fly ball off the end of the bat. Alou shielding his eyes. Hardly had to move. Sanders hit it right to him. One man down in the St. Louis seventh. Here's Matheny. Matheny 0 for 2. By the way, I want to compliment you. You're looking resplendent in your Cub blue pullover today.
This is a very handsome shirt with our WGN logo, and a good time to have it with the game. Although it's sunny now in the high 50s and overcast when we started. The rain that has been ever present here has cleared out. It's turned into a beautiful afternoon and a great pitcher's duel between Zambrano and Morris.
And I don't use the comparison of Fergie Jenkins and Bob Gibson lightly. Those two Hall of Famers hooked up aplenty here in St. Louis over the years.
And in Chicago, it was usually an hour and 45-minute game.
This one moving along in pretty good shape, too.
And both Morris and Zambrano have had that kind of stuff. 0-3-1 across the board on the line score for both teams.
A ball and 2 strikes to Matheny. In the air and out of play. Maddox and Marquise tomorrow. That'll be a Fox Sports Net Chicago telecast. We'll join you Tuesday night on WCIU from Wrigley Field. Sergio Mitre and Steve Sparks will hook up. Our next WGN telecast is Thursday. Also against Arizona. 1-2 pitch is right down the middle and a new career high. That's 11 strikeouts for Zambrano.
Zambrano got under that one, but the movement fooled Matheny. Now he can't complain about the high strike because it was a high strike that caught Sosa looking to end the 6th.
Be careful with Morris. He is, however, 0 for 2.
Both these pitchers have worked very quickly today.
Cubs will have the bottom of their order up in the 8th. If Morris is retired, the Cardinals will have the top of theirs when they come up. One-two pitch. Down swinging is Morris. It's a dirty dozen for Carlos Zambrano. 12 strikeouts through 7 innings of work, and he's due up third when we return.
On the next.
Well, St. Louis native Yogi Berra is known to say it's gotten late early. That's the case today as we look at our Budweiser Game Time Fan Cam.
You said the word, that means you like to do it all. When you say bud, it means you want the beer that's got a taste that's number one. When you say bud, you tell the world you know what makes it all.
47,757 have seen a great matchup of Matt Morris and Carlos Zambrano, who is due up third in this Cubs 8th. Bullpen busy with Merker and LaTroy Hawkins working. All 2 to Alex Gonzalez, who has hit the ball well again today.
Well, Carlos has been great, but he's at the 122 pitch mark. All-time high in strikeouts with 12. He's been brilliant, but you wonder how much he's got left. Guess it'll be answered this inning, and there's another high strike.
Can't be a surprise to the hitters at this point in the game. 2-1 to Alex Gonzalez. Who will score first today? High fly ball won't do the job. Sanders in shallow right. Puts that away. One man down in the 8th inning. Steve, this Cub-Cardinal rivalry in years past has been one-sided, especially in this ballpark. Cubs have shown in the first 3 games of this series they mean business in 2004.
Well, this has been a great series where little nuances of the game can mean the game. And so far today, neither side has done anything that would cost him the ball game. Both pitchers have been dominant. It's been a great series so far. There's one more game tomorrow, and a great pitcher's duel today. The offenses have been stifled with 3 hits apiece. But if Barrett looks away, he might be able to get on base.
And Morris living dangerously with that breaking ball, and it is a fine line. It's a terrific pitch for him, but he's hung 3 or 4 of them. Unfortunately for the Cubs, they haven't been able to catch up to it.
He got lucky because he hung one upstairs to Sammy.
That one beaten into the ground to third. Roland's been busy. 2 outs. Decision time for Dusty Baker, and the decision's made.
He's going to send up Tom Goodwin, I believe.
So the Cardinals will gladly say goodbye to Zambrano, who goes 7 innings, no runs, 3 hits. He walked 3 and struck out a career high 12.
Just a dominating performance. Unfortunately for Carlos, Matt Morris has been every bit as good. So the Cubs will go to the pen. And with Womack, Langford, and Pujols due up, you would expect it would be Merker, at least at the start of the inning.
So here's Goodwin. That's in for a called strike. Same pitch, same call, 0-2.
Goodwin hitting .556 against Morris. I don't think it's been on that type of curveball, however.
Matt thought he struck him out. 1-2 is your count. Morris coming off a real rough outing against the Phillies. Has not pitched all that well at home. Today, vintage Morris. Goodwin stays alive here in our 8th inning. Zambrano with 122 pitches can only watch and hope the Cubs can push across a 2-out run here, something they've done with great regularity this season. Two balls, 2 strikes. It's full, 3-2. Goodwin gets on, you think maybe about running with the good contact man Walker waiting next. No activity in the Cardinal pen, and Goodwin swings over the top. 3 up, 3 down in the 8th inning. Morris over 100 pitches. And the duel continues scoreless in St. Louis. Drawings throughout the game. There's no purchase necessary. For complete rules, visit Cubs.com.
Kent Merker in the ball game, and the first man he's going to look at is Tony Womack.
Womack 0 for 3 today.
That's one of the reasons why the Cardinals haven't scored. He does set up the offense. He does like to bunt, especially against left-handers.
There it is, and there it goes, foul. A very bad fielding fan misplayed an easy catch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Womack has 3 bunt hits this year. But that type of style of running and just leaving the bat there won't get him the 4th.
Ball 2, strike 1 to Womack. Put this guy on, you are asking to get in big trouble. Lashed down the left field line, and trouble's what we got. In the corner goes Alou. Womack on his way to second. No throw. A leadoff double represents the first run of this game.
Well, Langford's coming back because Tony La Russa wants a bunt. And Langford isn't the guy to do it. Womack slices this one down the line. No chance at all for Moises to go and get it. And he's in at second base.
So Taguchi.
And you got to believe that he's going to be bunting right at Ramirez.
So a leadoff double for Womack brings up Taguchi. Got Pujols, the right-handed bat, waiting on deck. And Dusty Baker, I think, is not going to allow Merker to face Taguchi and then Albert Pujols.
No, he's going to go to LaTroy Hawkins, who's been loosening in the pen and should be ready to go.
Well, if there has been some concern about Kent Merker's early starts with the Cubs, it has been his work against left-handed batters. With that base hit, lefties are now 6 for 14 against him. Right-handers just 2 hits in 18 tries. So a bloop double, a tough break for Kent and the Cubs here in the 8th. Cardinals have Womack in scoring position as the Cubs go to the pen again.
What's hot in activewear?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at our Illinois lottery moment today. A career day for Carlos Zambrano with a dozen strikeouts.
That's the 12th. Carlos coming off is our Illinois lottery moment. A fantastic performance. It will go for naught, however. He'll get a no decision. And the Cubs are in some trouble here in the 8th inning. Cardinals' fastest man, Womack, out at second base, nobody out. And Taguchi undoubtedly trying to lay down a bunt to move him along to third.
Cardinals collectively with 13 sacrifice bunts this season. And you have Pujols waiting on deck with Hawkins on the mound now. LaTroy, you'll recall, was the last man standing in game 1 of the series and was very upset that Matheny walked against him to decide the ball game. He said, I can handle getting beat if I make him hit the ball. Let's hope that it doesn't come to that here in the 8th inning of a scoreless game.
Taguchi has 3 sacrifices this year, and that's why he's undoubtedly in the game. That and for his defense if they do score.
Ramirez waits for the pitch and it sails way high, ball 1. Taguchi from Hyogo Prefecture, Japan, and played with the Oryx Blue Wave in the Japanese Pacific League. And did that hit him or the bat?
Hit the bat.
It's not a bad pitch. You know he's trying to bunt. Make it as tough on him as you can.
This chases him out of there and almost gets a piece of his finger.
One ball, one strike to Taguchi. There's the bunt. Hawkins will take the sure out at first. Perfect bunt. Runner at third, 1 out.
Well, the pitcher has to depend on his catcher there because the play's behind him. And you know that Barrett was yelling first. Womack is very fast. You really open the door up for a huge inning. And you've got to come in at all 4 positions after this successful sacrifice. Not a comfortable place to be with Albert Pujols up.
You've got the left hand hitting Jim Edmonds waiting on deck. He has struck out 3 times today. If you pitch around Pujols, you set up a potential double play, but then you entertain a lefty hitter versus righty pitcher matchup in a scoreless game. And another man in Edmonds who can hit the ball out of the ballpark. Ball 1 to Pujols.
Well, normally in this situation, one of the things you'd have to worry about would be the suicide. I don't think you'd have to worry about it with Pujols hitting.
Fly ball could score the game's first run. 1-0 pitch. Dances in beautifully. 1-1 your count. Pittsburgh still beating Milwaukee 3-1. Cincinnati 4, Houston 3 now in the 5th. Here it's scoreless. Popped him up. Wow. Derek Lee has plenty of room. 2 outs. How about that? Albert Pujols pops up again, and this Cardinal team with men in scoring position continues, Steve, to this point to have huge problems coming up.
Well, Pujols has not had his normally destructive series, and today he hasn't hit the ball out of the infield. That's a low fastball, and Pujols hits it straight up the shaft. I guess the question you ask yourself here is, do you want to face a left-hander, or do you want to have to go after Rolen with a righty-righty matchup? And it's answered.
It is a game of percentages. However, when you take the odds out of it, if you look at the way these guys have swung the bats today, it's Edmonds with 3 strikeouts against Carlos Zambrano, the right-handed pitcher. Rolen, the Cardinal third baseman, who's 2 for 3 against the right-handed pitcher.
This a different pitcher, however. And the percentages say put the lefty on and bring up the righty, and now it's up to LaTroy Hawkins to make the strategy hold up.
So an intentional walk sends Edmonds to first. Here's Scott Rolen, 2 for 3. And out pops Larry Rothschild to talk it over.
Another thing that probably entered in the equation was that Edmonds had faced Hawkins 14 times over in the other league. He was very familiar with him. He was 4 for 14, pretty good, pencils out to 286. On the other side of the coin, Scott Rolen being a lifetime National Leaguer, LaTroy Hawkins a lifetime American Leaguer, might have run into him in spring training, but that was about it.
But here's the man all year long for the Cardinals who's been the most consistent run producer for Tony La Russa. And that's the situation he faces now. Man at third, man at first, 2 outs, scoreless game. Cubs get out of this scoreless. The top of the order's coming up in the 9th. But first things first, Hawkins sets and fires. Right through there, a blazing fastball, strike 1. Close call went Rolen's way. 1-1 now. Renteria waits on deck. Just 7 hits combined in this ball game. The 1-1 pitch to Rolen. Popped him up on the right side. Who wants it? Derek Lee and Todd Walker, and the big 6'5" first baseman calls off Todd Walker, and the Cardinal offense sputters again. Great pitching by LaTroy Hawkins sends it to the 9th scoreless.
Chicago Cubs baseball.
A redeemer for LaTroy Hawkins. 2 big pop outs induced in the 8th inning. Now the top of the Cub order goes to work, and Walker hits a rocket down the right field line off Matt Morris, who goes into the 9th inning now. Still scoreless. It's Walker, Patterson, and Sosa for the Cubs. Cardinal pen is up in case Morris has any problems.
Well, Morris does have the 1 Cardinal complete game this year.
Todd Walker led the game off with a base hit.
This should be one of the toughest outs for Morris, who's really struggled. I don't think he was real happy with that call from Angel Hernandez. But now Walker in the driver's seat at 2-1.
Fly ball hammered left center field. Edmonds on the run, still going at the track. He's near the wall, and a basket catch at the belt. Takes care of Todd Walker. If he pulls it, it's out of the park. No such luck. One out. That's maybe the hardest hit ball of the day for the Cubs.
That one went a long way, but it's about 400 feet to that spot. It's high enough for Edmonds to just cruise under it. He knows he's got it all the way, and he puts it away easily.
A ball to Corey Patterson, up and away. 1 ball, no strikes. Corey's lined out twice. He's hit into a double play once. There's a rocket into right field, and the Cubs running game is on here with 1 out in front of Sammy Sosa. 5th hit for Patterson in his last 30 at bats, and it comes at a big time.
Corey's hit the ball hard today, and he's just got the 1 for 4 to show for it. And a huge reaction to Sammy Sosa here from the fans of both teams. 9th inning or later, walk-off since '94. Sammy just a couple behind Bonds and Tomey.
High fly ball on the first pitch. Sanders near the line, near the stands, has room. Sammy's woes at Busch Stadium continue here in the 9th. 2 outs for Alou, who's hit it to third base all 3 times today.
The Cubs have one consistent base running threat, and he's standing at first base. The combination, however, of Morris and Matheny, pretty tough to run against.
Matheny's caught 3 of 9 would-be base stealers. Patterson 3 out of 4 in that statistic.
He figured it'd be worth a gamble here.
No movement at first, and Alou shoots that to shallow center field. Edmonds plays as shallow as they come, and Sosa and Alou retired on 2 pitches after the Patterson single. On into the 9th inning in St. Louis, no score.
He has passion.
Edgar Renteria for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 9th inning. Sharply hit, leadoff single. 2-hit day for Renteria, and the Cardinals have the winning run on with nobody out.
Renteria is pretty tough in that situation because you know you're not going to strike him out very often. Zambrano was able to get him today, but Zambrano had just miraculous stuff. Could have been the best stuff of his career today. So now you're looking at Sanders, who hits low fastballs real hard, and it's LaTroy against the world. Nobody up in the bullpen. He wants him to watch Renteria at first base. Renteria, with good speed, is one of the base stealing threats on this team. He's swiped a couple. He's been caught once.
Michael 0 for 8 in stolen base. Throws this year. Isringhausen up in the Cardinal pen. If we go to the 10th, we'll see him, it would appear. Sanders 0 for 3 in the game, 1 for 11 in the series. No score. And that's low for a ball.
One of the big problems here is that you saw Zambrano throwing the ball when he kept it down way inside, moving in on the hands of Sanders, and then he threw it by him upstairs. LaTroy works downstairs. That's the strength of Sanders if he gets one down and out over the plate.
1 ball, no strikes. Matheny waits on deck. Renteria, hands on knees, short lead over at first. Hawkins sets, no movement at first, and a broken bat roller slowly hit. Ramirez, gloves and guns. That's as good as a sacrifice. Sanders moves Renteria to scoring position with 1 out.
Good pitch by LaTroy. He kept it way in on the hands of Sanders. And unfortunately, the quality of pitch worked against him because he shattered the bat. The ball was hit so slowly that Aramis had just the 1 play. That ball well off the plate. Good movement. He kept it belt high. And now you have to worry about Matheny and
Colin Porter. Colin Porter's in the on-deck circle. He would bat for Morris. Porter, one of 3 left-handed bats for Tony La Russa. Off the Cardinal bench. Here's Matheny. He's 0 for 3. Took a called 3rd strike in the 7th inning. That was against Zambrano.
I think if Matheny gets on, if he gets on first, you'd see Anderson instead of Porter. I think the reason he doesn't put Anderson up there is that if you get Matheny out, you'd walk Anderson. He doesn't want you to do that. Anderson is his best pinch hitter.
1 ball, no strikes to Mike Matheny, the Cardinal catcher. No score in the 9th. High drama again in St. Louis.
This has been a great game. I know there's no scoring. There's only been 9 hits combined. Each team has had a defensive miscue, but there's been some terrific situations. The pitching has been wonderful, and largely the guys have been called on to execute, have done it. It's been just a superbly pitched baseball game.
And it's reminiscent of that September series in Chicago where every game was decided by a run or 2.
And a pitch or 2.
1 ball, 1 strike. LaTroy Hawkins. He's going to try to get Renteria. He's in the rundown. Hawkins, there's the tag. What a play by the Hawk. And Renteria wandered too far. 2 outs, Matheny at first.
Hawkins did it perfectly. You don't want to release the baseball until you run at the base runner and make him commit. And Renteria, a good base runner, doesn't want to commit. Finally, Hawkins just says, well, you're going to stand here, I'll push you down. But if you don't have to make a throw, don't make it. Great play by Hawkins, good pitch. And now instead of Renteria, the winning run on second, you've got Matheny a whole lot slower at first.
And assuming this game gets to the 10th inning, you no longer have Matt Morris. He's taken out. Colin Porter's in.
And if you bring in Isringhausen, he has struggled somewhat. And by his own admission, he said, I'm not in any pain. I'm throwing as well as I've thrown, except I make 1 or 2 mistakes and it does me in. Cubs are hoping that trend continues.
1 more bullet to Dodge. It's Colin Porter, a former Astro farmhand. 1 ball, no strikes. Porter came on in the 8th inning yesterday and singled off Matt Clement. 1-0. Matheny a very short lead at first. Squibber foul. Matt Morris, 9 innings of pitching, 4 hits, no runs, 4 strikeouts, and 1 walk. And all he can do is sit and hope.
And we'll gladly take some extra innings today. No reason for this one to end quite yet. And both teams really battling.
1 ball, 1 strike to Colin Porter. Late swing, and he's down to his last strike.
You have to play very deep in the outfield right now because you have to play no double. It's going to be difficult to score Matheny from first. We swing around, we show you the defense. You've got Corey, for all intents and purposes, playing straightaway center, and everybody just about as deep as they can, wanting to cut off the alleys. The fans have really been into this one.
It's just been wonderful to watch. 1-2 from the Hawk to Colin Porter. He got him. It's in the dirt. Michael Barrett will again make the throw to first, and we've got free baseball in St. Louis. LaTroy Hawkins, what a redeemer at Busch Stadium. The big rundown takes care of Renteria and the Redbirds after 9.
A break here because Morris was throwing so unbelievably well, and Isringhausen, coming back from an arm problem, he says he has no pain for the first time in 2 years, but he's been making some mistakes, and the Cubs will be looking for one of them here in the 10th inning.
And they've got some big hitters coming up. Ramirez, Lee, and of course Mr. Game Winner Alex Gonzalez due up 3rd as we battle on into the 10th inning.
And that is a beautiful Cub jacket you have on with that logo. You know, the last time the Cubs were in postseason play 2 years in a row, they won it all, 1907, 1908. You can get that at the souvenir stand at Wrigley Field. And the logo is sensational. It is called Bear in Need of a Bran Muffin. There it is.
Well, John McDonough and his lovely wife Karen, I'm sure, are
You have
at
to
home.
move the water bottle to get the full effect of our bear.
There you go. How's that?
That's a 1908 logo.
I'm sure John and Karen are busily baking a bevy of them for us for when we get home. Here we go to the 10th. Jason Isringhausen to face Aramis Ramirez. The Cub pen busy. And a first pitch swing, and that ball into left field. It'll drop in front of Taguchi. There's a good start. Isringhausen's woes continue. Let's see if the Cubs can cash it in.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, this is the best break the Cubs got. The fact that LaTroy Hawkins made a terrific decision to run down Renteria, and now Isringhausen comes into the game. He's been hanging some sliders, and there's the go-ahead run. Joe Borowski now throwing in the pen. What a job by LaTroy Hawkins in relief of Carlos Zambrano.
That is a redeemer, no doubt. Here's Derek Lee. He's got a hit today. He's going to show a bunt. Wow, this is interesting. The Cubs don't bunt much. The Cardinals' big hitters in game 1 of the series did. And here Dusty Baker says to Derek Lee, show him bunt on the first pitch.
Well, Scott Rowland, with runners at first and second, nobody out, with the game on the line, did lay down a successful bunt.
1 ball, no strikes. Again high, ball 2. Isringhausen blew his first save Thursday against the Phillies. A 2-run 9th inning homer sent the game to extra frames. And if Isringhausen's not right at the end for the Cardinals, they're going to have big problems in the bullpen. That's been the story here the last couple of seasons.
Well, they had to call on Eldred last year to be the closer, and that really isn't his role.
2 balls, no strikes. Ramirez measures off his lead from first. We're in the 10th inning scoreless. And now time granted. Whoever comes on in the bottom half is going to have a tough frame. The top of the Cardinal order is due, so let's see if the Cubs can get not just one but a couple here. We'll settle for one, don't misunderstand, but a little insurance would be great. 2-0. Now bunt and a rocket off the mask of Matheny. 2-1 now.
Borowski 6 for 6 in save situations, loosening up in case the Cubs can push one across. And again, the line scores identical. 0, 5, and 1 for each team as we cruise into the 10th.
2-1. There's the bunt, and he laid down a gem. Isringhausen has to hurry, and he just does get Derek Lee. Talk about a great wedge. That was one from Lee.
It was a great bunt. It surprised Isringhausen. He came off the mound and slipped, and just barely was able to right himself to make the play. I'm sure Derek Lee doesn't do a whole lot of bunting, but he couldn't have rolled it out there any better. This is a great job. It's a perfect bunt. He almost beat the play, and Isringhausen right there has the left foot roll over. He's lucky he was able to make this play.
That is the first sacrifice bunt of Derek Lee's career.
Couldn't have come at a better time.
So here's Alex Gonzalez. A hit scores a run, you figure, here with 1 out. And to tell you the importance of these early season games, Scott Rowland of the Cardinals had his first career sacrifice bunt on Friday.
And Alex is 2 for 4 lifetime against Izzy with a home run.
1 ball, no strikes. High fly ball, shallow left. Taguchi is going to make the catch, unfortunately. 2 men down. So here's Michael Barrett. You've got Todd Hollandsworth coming to the on-deck circle.
And here comes Dave Duncan out to talk with Isringhausen. He's really going to talk to him about how he wants him to pitch to Barrett with first base open. He doesn't want to walk him to face Hollandsworth. Nobody's up in the bullpen. That isn't what this is about. This is about trying to get him out without throwing him a real good pitch because you have first base open.
So Duncan, a terrific pitching coach, back to the Cardinal dugout. Barrett will dig in. Michael with a 5-game hit streak on the line, perhaps here in the 10th.
And what Tony's doing, I believe, is calling the bullpen to get a left-hander up. I can't believe he hasn't had one up to this point.
Way high from Isringhausen. 1 ball, no strikes.
Could very well be that the late call might work against him unless Klein can get loosened up in a hurry if he doesn't get Barrett.
Ramirez leads from second. Popped up. Boy, neither offense getting a whole lot done today. The pitching has been spectacular. Isringhausen pitches around. Our leadoff 10th inning hit. Now the top of the Cardinal order comes up scoreless.
Come on, come on.
The fact is, all light beers are low income.
What a game. It continues to the bottom of the 10th inning with top of the Cardinal order due up. That means Womack, Taguchi, and Albert Pujols. And on to pitch is Kyle Farnsworth.
Kyle pitched to lead off the 9th inning in the opener, and he walked Pujols on 4 pitches. So the key to this inning is going to be Womack and just what Kyle does with this at bat. Womack will probably be taking a strike.
What a game. Strike one's going to be the biggest pitch of this inning, perhaps, for Farnsworth, just for his confidence. He's got to get Womack. He's the key to the game, perhaps. Then Taguchi and Pujols. Womack for the Cardinals, 1 for 4 today, a double in the 8th inning, led off the frame. The Cardinals could not cash it in, however. They had a leadoff hit in the 9th. Didn't score that one either. That's why we're still playing.
Whatever you do with Tony Womack, you cannot walk him. Just as soon lay a fastball in there and say how far can he hit it.
Ball 2. Come on, Kyle. Don't walk this guy.
Well, there's nobody warming up, so Dusty Baker essentially has said, Kyle, this is your game.
Four straight. Womack's on.
Kyle has faced 2 hitters in this ballpark and thrown 8 straight balls. And now you're probably getting to be another bunting Taguchi. He did it in the 8th. He will probably do it here. But Tony La Russa might make Farnsworth throw a strike first. We'll see.
I would. So here's Taguchi. There's the bunt. Derek Lee will apply the tag. The sacrifice successful. Womack at second, 1 out. Taguchi, 2 sacrifices in his many plate appearances.
Well, this one was high and out of the strike zone, and I'll tell you, I was kind of happy he bunted this. Now maybe Kyle getting it out will be able to right the ship against Pujols.
Pujols over 3 with a walk.
Customer.
Ramon Martinez in at shortstop. And he'll bat in the number 9 spot if we get to the 11th inning. No score in the 10th. Runner at second, 1 out.
Well,
Ball 1 high.
The game plan is this, and we'll have to see how it unfolds, but you pitch and get Pujols, walk Edmonds, and then go after Rolen. That's the plan at this moment.
It's all academic. You can't throw a strike. 2-0.
Well, this was a man he walked on 4 the other evening. and actually has not thrown the ball in the zone yet. Taguchi helped him out somewhat.
Game in the hands of the Farns here. 2-0 your count.
Edmonds 4 for 9 lifetime against Farnsworth.
Three balls and a strike. Here comes the 3-1 to Pujols. 3-2, and Pujols thought he earned ball 4 and dropped the bat.
Well, that was a slider. It was right down the middle of the plate. Very good pitch by Farnsworth. He had first base open. He felt comfortable he could throw this slider for a strike. That was a good one. Albert tried to duck under it, but he's 6-2, not 3-2.
But that is the count with one out, man at second. Another one, that one too high, and Pujols looks back at Angel, and he's out of the game. How about that? And I don't blame Angel Hernandez for that. Albert Pujols showed up the umpire after he took ball 4, and he doesn't realize
he doesn't know he's thrown out of the game. He'll know now.
Pujols is out of this ball game for staring back at Angel Hernandez, and as great a player as Pujols is, there's no cause for that. He's out of the game after he draws the walk. He didn't think strike 2 was the proper call, and then the long look back as he crossed home plate to go to first base. Pujols is run. Just take the walk and go, and he stays in the game.
Well, Tony La Russa is going to give Angel Hernandez an earful now, and he could very well be run out of this game. Yeah, he's going to stay in, and Larry Rothschild's going to go to the mound. That one was high, and right there he said something along with the look back, and that was it for Angel. This was clearly ball 4, that's no doubt about that, and right back looking at him. He's seen enough for today. Might not come into play today, but you never know.
Yeah, sure.
As this thing unfolds and we go down the road a bit, if Cal Farnsworth can get out of this inning, but now you can't pitch around Edmonds.
And they'll bring on Cody McKay to run at first. You can't pitch around Edmonds, and the help here is McKay can't run well at all.
So on a ball in the hole where normally you might not have a play at second, you'll have one now. His run per se doesn't count, but the fact is you're pinch running with a catcher. So Edmonds has always had good luck against Farnsworth. Maybe today will be the exception.
So 2 walks, first and second, 1 out. Edmonds 0 for 3 with an intentional pass. 10th inning drama again, and Farnsworth finally gets a first pitch strike. Off the plate.
Outfield straight away. Moises Alou loosening up his arm in left field. It'll be tough to make a play on Womack, who's got tremendous speed at second.
Ball 2.
Well, it might be academic if Kyle cannot get the ball over the plate.
Two balls and a strike. Might have swung at ball 3. It's 2-2, and now here's Steve again. That high riding fastball to Edmonds is something you might think about.
Well, that's what Zambrano did to him 3 straight times. And he fanned him in the 1st, the 4th, and the 6th, all on high fastballs.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Edmonds. Rolen waits on deck. Pujols ejected from the game, and now time called. And if you're not sure what you want to throw with the game on the line, you might as well talk about it. While Barrett and Farnsworth do that, let's quickly pause for station identification.
You're watching Superstation WGN, your home for your favorite sports.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Jim Edmonds. Oh, for a strikeout here, or a double play ball here. Missed by an eyelash. 3-2 now.
I think that was a discussion. Barrett, who'd been calling high fastballs all day, and Farnsworth, who wanted the slider, he just missed as it slid around the plate.
Pitch number 17 from Farnsworth. Will they go? No, the pitch is outside. 17 pitches, 12 balls from Farnsworth, and now no place to put Rolen. Bags full, 1 out. Cardinals and Cubs all day struggling with men in scoring position, but Rolen the best this year in this situation for the Cardinals.
Well, you got to bring the entire infield in. You have to bring the entire outfield in. You have to put the outfielders in a spot where they can throw Womack out at the plate on a line drive or a fly ball. So a great situation to hit if you're Scott Rolen, and Farnsworth needs a double play ground ball.
And it's deja vu all over again. This a nightmarish repeat of the 9th inning Friday night.
The difference is 3 guys walked the guys in the 9th.
"19 pitches, 14 balls. Fly ball left field, it's over. A base hit off the base of the wall by Scott Rolen. All the 9th inning or 10th inning walks come back to roost. Cardinals win another 1-run game, 1-0 in 10. So the Cardinals take a 2-1 series lead with just 6 hits today. Isringhausen beats Farnsworth, who suffers his 2nd loss of the series. 1-0 St. Louis in 10. An unbelievable game decided in the Cardinals' last at bat. And our Bud play of the game, Steve.
With a 2-0 count, Farnsworth throws a fastball, inner portion right down the middle, a no-doubter. The Cardinals win a terrific ball game. Well pitched on both sides at the end. The generosity in the 10th, the 3 walks and the base hit, and the Cubs go down to defeat 1-0. A long way to go for a 1-run loss.
That's the final score. Isringhausen over Farnsworth. For Steve Stone, Chip Caray, thanks for joining us from Busch Stadium. Stay tuned. The 10th inning show's coming up next.
Izzy 2-0. Farnsworth